You know that hidden photo album on your iPhone where you put in treasured screenshots and photos that better don't pop up when you're with your family and your phone gets around the dinner table? Quick question. Apple can't see inside your hidden albums. It can't see those photos. That part is true. But what information about these photos can Apple see? Most people will say nothing, but they actually know that you have those photos. They know when you took them, how often you view them, and when you view them. None of that is necessarily a leak or a privacy invasion. You can find this information in Apple's documentation. And there's good reason for it. I want to show you what that reason is and how it changed how I think about privacy. First, the good news. There's this thing Apple calls advanced data protection that you can enable on your iCloud account. And what that does is it end-to-end encrypts all of the data, including your photos, in iCloud. Before that, and when it's disabled, Apple stores encryption keys of your photos on their servers so they can help you in case you forget your account or you have problems accessing your account. Your photos are safe and they can still be accessed by Apple. But of course, that is worse for privacy because it means somebody else potentially has access to your photos. Advanced data protection changes this by deleting all of those keys from Apple servers and only holding those encryption keys on your own devices. This is permanent and can't be undone. After this, if you lose access to all of your Apple devices, Apple can't help you to restore access to those encrypted photos because they just don't have the key to do it. But still, after all of that, they still know which photos you have stored in their cloud. When I read that, I was really worried and thought they're like cutting corners. Why is this like pseudo privacy thing happening? Apple has to store photos for 1 billion people. It's like trillions of photos, and that needs a lot of storage. And a simple trick to reduce the costs here is to do some form of deduplication. So if there's a meme or a photo or a famous popular video that gets shared often, Apple tries to not store that video multiple times, but only once, and then everybody is just accessing this same version. But when encrypted, Apple can't look at the photos. So how do they know that two photos are the same without looking at them? So before a photo leaves your iPhone, Apple creates a checksum. And this checksum is completely unique for each photo. If you change just one pixel in a photo, you get a completely different checksum. A checksum is just a string of characters that look completely random. Now, let's say there are two people. They live in completely separate countries on other sides of the world. Both of them have the same photo, and before it gets uploaded, the same checksum will be created. That means that Apple can just check these two checksums, and if they are the same, they know it's the same photo. This is not something I made up. Apple documented this here. This already has been part of iCloud since it launched. But here's the thing I don't like. Let's say I'm Apple and I have a photo, or I'm law enforcement, and I want to know if you have that photo. Then I can just do this checksum thing myself, create a checksum, and then test if your account also has this checksum. And from that, I know that you have this photo. For that, they didn't need to see any of my photos, but they're still able to test if I have a certain photo or video. But this isn't the only thing that's readable. For your photos, they can also see whether an item has been marked as a favorite, hidden, or marked as deleted, when an item was originally created, when it was originally imported, when it was modified, and every time you viewed it. So they don't just know it's a photo or a video, they know everything around it. But how much that matters obviously depends totally on the photo. If you take a photo in private and nobody else has that photo, then the checksum is absolutely meaningless because there's nothing to compare it to. But a photo that came from somewhere else, that got like sent it to you from a friend, or you download it on the internet, on the other hand, that can be fingerprinted and it can be followed that you have that photo or video or file. The same is true for iCloud Drive. So nobody can like look through your library and see all of your photos, but Apple and law enforcement can detect if you have a certain photo in your library. Two things I need to get straight about with you. Apple neither confirmed or denied that they use the checksums of two different people to compare them with each other, but that's how convergent encryption works, how you save a lot of storage. If you only would do that for a single user account, you wouldn't get any benefits. And second, the same thing applies to iCloud Drive, where Apple also hashes the file name, and that is a way easier attack vector to use something like a dictionary attack to figure out what is the file name, because file names don't have a lot of entropy. So it is very easy to find out the names of the files that you have in your iCloud Drive. So what happens on your iPhone stays on your iPhone is mostly true. The question is just what happens to the data that leaves your iPhone when it gets stored in the cloud. What does Apple have to know about it? And Apple says they want to protect this last bit too. They want to make every inch of metadata end-to-end encryption, but this is the architecture that they came up with since the beginning of iCloud. Until then, it's a kind of uncomfortable trade-off because it's not fully private, but it is also not a scandal. It's just cheaper data storage without a different solution right now. So if you want to have your data better protected than just having them in a cloud where Apple can, in theory, even look at them, I highly recommend enabling advanced data protection for your Apple account. It will take a little while until all of those encryption keys are removed from the cloud, but at least then you can be sure that Apple can't look at your photos. But keep in mind that Apple can still, in theory, see which photos you have.